All right, so how do you write an equation that represents a proportional situation? It's actually really simple. For one thing, all you have to do is recognize the equation that says y equals kx. So once you know that the equation y equals kx is the equation that represents a proportional relationship, the next thing you have to know is the only number you need to look for is the k. And by now, you should already know how to find k, which is the constant of proportionality for a graph or for a table. Once you know that, writing the equation is nothing. Here we go. So the first graph that you see here, graph number one, you're very simply going to look and say, okay, my y is 1, my x is 6. So since k is y over x, y is 1, x is 6, k is what is 1 over 6. So the equation will very simply be y equals 1 over 6 x. That's it. That's all there is to it. So everything else is just going to be a repetition of the same thing. Find k, write y equals whatever k is, x. Look at the next one. Again, I need y equals kx, which means I need k. So k for this second graph is going to be between 4 and 8 is 6. So y is 6, x is 5. So since k is 6 over 5, then y equals 6 over 5x. That's it. I go back to this next one, my third one. I know my first point is here. So I go across. I see that that's a 10. I come down. That's a 10. So since k is 10 over 10, which is 1, my equation is y equals 1x. The only caveat is if I have a 1 in place of k, 1 times x is already x. So I just rewrite it as y equals x. That's all you have to do in this case. Take another one. So since I have here y, so k equals y over x. Y was 4, x was 2, 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so k is 2, which means that y equals 2x. The equation that represents this graph is y equals 2x. If I know they give me an equation, they ask me for an equation where the constant of proportionality is 2/3, they did all the work for me. So if y is supposed to be kx, if k, they already told you here that k is 2/3, so I just write y equals 2/3 x. That's all I'm doing. Same scenario here, and you can see it over and over. All I'm going to do, and at this point, I'm just going to go straight to the equation. So this is going to be 1.5 over 1. So that's 1. So y equals 1.5x. For this one, that's 9 over 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. So that means y equals 3x. Same thing over and over. We get to a table now. If the table, again, to find for a table, k is still y over x. So for this table, I can take any pair that I want. So if I take 22, k is going to be 22 over 2, which is 11, which means that the equation for this table is y equals 11x. So what that tells me is, to find out what y is, I'm going to take x and multiply by 11. 2 times 11 is 22. 7 times 11 is 77. 9 times 11 is 99. So yes, this equation represents this table. That's all we're doing. Same thing here. If I look at, if since it's proportional, any pair that I use will give me the constant of proportionality. So it would be y equals kx. So if I use 7 over 14, for example, k equals y over x. So y is 7, because here's my y column here. So 7 over 14, which is 1 over 2. So now I know that the equation, since k is 1/2, y is equal to 1/2 x. And again, what that means is, for the entire table, if I take whatever x is and multiply by 1/2, I'm going to get y. So 9 times 1/2 is 4.5. 14 times 1/2 is 7. 30 times 1/2 is 15. That's what this is all about. Just writing the equation that represents the table or the graph. So same thing here. If I use this one because it's the easiest one to identify, k equals y over x. So that means it's going to be 5, because y is 5. 5 over 45. I divide the top and bottom by 5 to simplify it, which means I have 1/9. So now I know k is 1/9. Since it's supposed to be y equals kx, that means y equals 1/9 x. So again, that tells me if I take all of the x values and I multiply by 1 over 9, I'm going to get the y value every time. That's all we're looking for. That constant of proportionality shows the relationship between the x value and the y value. So now, in the Khan Academy actual lesson, they're going to ask you which equation has a constant proportionality of 5, for example. Well, when they ask you that, they're really just saying, do you know what number is supposed to become k? So if the constant proportionality is supposed to be 5, it means they're telling you that k is 5. So remember, y equals kx. So if y is equal to kx, then all I'm going to do is look for the place where k is 5. So y equals 5x? Yes, right here. Y equals 5x, k is 5. I look at the next one, what's wrong with it? Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So this equation is really y equals 2x, which does not have a k of 5. 5 over 25 is also wrong because that's really 1/5. So that's y equals 1/5 x, which is not what I'm looking for. And this one obviously is already y equals 1/2 x. So which one has a constant proportionality equal to 5? The answer would have been A. Very simple. The other type of question that you're going to get is even easier. What is a constant of proportionality in the equation y equals 2/3 x? Well, we just said that the equation is y equals kx. So if we're looking for the constant of proportionality, and the constant of proportionality is k, then that means that whatever is attached to the x is the constant of proportionality. The coefficient for x is the constant of proportionality. So y equals 2/3 x is telling you very clearly that k is 2/3. So the answer would have simply been 2/3. So there's really nothing else to this. It's really just as simple as it looks. You find out what k is, you write the equation with k replaced by whatever the value of k is. It's that simple. One more. Which equation has a constant of proportionality equal to 1? Well, I'm going to look and just say, if I have y equals kx, and they tell me that the constant of proportionality is supposed to be 1, and I would say this should mean that y should be equal to 1x. But we've said earlier, 1 times x is really just x. So that means you're going to say y equals x. Oh, so here we go right here. Y equals x is the same thing. Why? Because when you have y equals x, whenever you don't have a coefficient, that coefficient really can be a 1. All right? So these other ones are wrong because 3 divided by 15 is not 1, 7 over 8 is not 1, and 10 over 11 is also not 1. So that's it. You're going to practice the constant of proportionality from equations. If you're having any issues, please reach out. Let's get it done.